Before you text her again, watch this. Most guys don't get rejected by women. They get rejected by their own impulse to reach out before she even has a chance to miss them. If that statement hit you in the chest, good. You needed to hear it. Jessica OS here. Welcome to the channel. Today I'm giving you 6 things every man must understand before he sends that next text. This video will show you the mindset shift that stops insecure texting, what her silence really means, why your emotional state ruins messages, how space builds attraction, how to text with purpose, and the exact moment to text her again. Let's get into it. Number 1, check your motive before you hit send. Before you text her again, you need to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you texting her because it's the right move or because you can't handle the discomfort of not texting her? Which is it? Most men don't send messages, they send emotional leaks. They reach for their phone the second they feel ignored, insecure, or unsure. And instead of sitting in that discomfort like a grown man, they try to escape it by reaching out. Here's something you should know. Women lose interest because your energy exposes exactly how insecure you are the moment you send a text message. For example, let's say she hasn't replied in 6 hours. You tell yourself, oh, you're just checking in. Truth is, you're spiraling. Your ego is bruised, your imagination is running wild. And instead of catching yourself, you hit send on something like, hey, just making sure everything's okay. She sees that message and instantly knows what you're trying to hide. You want reassurance. You're scared you're losing her. You're reacting instead of choosing. And you see, once a woman senses that you're texting from a place of fear and not confidence, the dynamic will flip very fast. Now, here's a test I want you to start using. If your message is trying to pull comfort out of her, don't send it. If your message is rooted in panic, boredom, jealousy, loneliness, or ego, please don't send it. If your message is trying to get her to validate you, don't send it. A confident man texts because he has something meaningful, intentional, and grounded to say. If you can't tell the difference yet, sit with it until you can. Silence won't kill you, but texting from insecurity will absolutely kill attraction. Point 2, understand what her silence actually means. So most men completely misread a woman's silence. They treat it like a crisis instead of what it actually is. It's information. Silence is not rejection, disrespect, or even a signal to chase. Silence is nothing but data. And the men who win with women are the ones who know how to interpret data instead of reacting emotionally to it. You can't lead if you crumble the second you don't get constant feedback. Understand that women use silence in ways that men rarely understand. A woman might go quiet because she's generally busy and your importance in her life hasn't earned a priority slot yet. She's feeling you out, trying to see how secure you are when she steps back. She's not sure about you and needs space to think instead of being pushed into making a decision. She's comparing your behavior to other men who folded at the first sign of distance. She likes you, but doesn't want to appear too available or too into you. You see, your silence is a mirror. It reflects your level of inner strength. If you become anxious, clingy, apologetic, or overly accommodating the moment she goes quiet, she learns everything she needs to know. You need her attention more than she needs your presence. If you maintain the same calm energy you had before she pulled back, she starts paying attention because you demonstrated emotional discipline. So I guess what I want you to do is to ask yourself, is her silence making me think less of myself or more of her? When a man is secure, silence isn't a threat, it's a filter. It reveals whether she's genuinely interested or simply using your attention as some background noise. And your job is simple. Observe, don't project. Let the silence tell you the truth that she won't say out loud. Don't text her from emotional exhaustion. One of the biggest reasons men screw up with women is simple. They text when they're drained, overwhelmed, insecure, or mentally scattered, so to speak. You think you're communicating, but what you're really doing is bleeding emotion into every conversation that you're having with her. So here's how emotional exhaustion will betray you, okay? You've had a rough day. You're frustrated about work. You're tired of feeling like you're doing all the texting and reaching out and initiating. You're replaying her delays or her mixed signals in your head. And basically, that causes you to reach for your phone. You don't even realize it, but your brain is hungry for that connection, the reassurance, the validation, something, anything that makes you feel stable again. And unfortunately, you choose her as the emotional pressure valve. So what do you send? Paragraphs, explanation texts, overly emotional check-ins, passive-aggressive, guess you're busy lines, overly eager compliments, or even worse, that classic guilt trip opener. I just feel like I'm the only one trying here. Every message rooted in emotional exhaustion communicates one thing. I'm not grounded. I need you to regulate me. That's the fastest way to lose a woman's interest. Funny thing is, half of the things you text when you're drained are things you would never say if you were calm, centered, and emotionally stable. Let's say she took too long to respond. You might be tempted to text something defensive like, "Oh, wow, okay. I guess you're too busy for me." Question: would the confident, composed version of you ever send that? Of course not. That text came from exhaustion and not intention. Let her feel the space. Most men ruin attraction because they do too much. A woman can't miss you if you never leave. She can't wonder about you if you're always in her notifications. She can't desire you if she doesn't feel the tension of uncertainty. Attraction needs oxygen. Oxygen comes from the space that you create between you two. Men who panic when a woman goes quiet end up doing the worst thing possible. They fill the silence with more of themselves, more check-ins, more reassurance seeking, more updates she didn't ask for. And you see, every time you do that, you teach her that you are afraid of losing her. And the moment she senses that fear, the power dynamic will shift and not in your favor. Imagine she pulls back a little. Not necessarily because maybe she doesn't want to do this again or she's done with you, but she's recalibrating, thinking, maybe even observing. If you rush in immediately, you block the very process that would have drawn her closer. If you fill that silence too quickly, she doesn't get the chance to feel anything real for you. Ask yourself, if I disappeared for 24 hours, would she even notice? If your honest answer is no, then overwhelming her with more presence will not change that. Hear me. Space creates polarity. A woman's interest grows in the gaps, not in the flood. Let her feel the absence, not as punishment or manipulation, but because your life has weight and you're not waiting around for someone to validate you. Point 5, reach out only when you have intent. If there's one rule every man needs burned into his brain before he texts a woman, it's this: never message her just to keep the conversation alive. Most guys text like they're clocking in for attendance. Those text messages don't create attraction or move the connection forward. They rather expose that you have nothing going on in your life. And we see women are emotional thinkers. Every interaction creates some kind of a feeling. If your conversations don't create tension, excitement, playfulness, forward motion, she's not going to remember them. And she's definitely not going to remember you. I'll paint a picture. You message her, "Hey." She sees it, rolls her eyes a little and thinks, "Okay, and?" That's the truth. A message with no intent forces her to do the emotional labor, to find direction, to create meaning, to keep the conversation alive. And the moment she has to lead, her feminine energy will turn off. You don't want that. Here's the rule. If the text doesn't create momentum, don't send it. If the text doesn't reflect a man with some kind of a vision, don't send it. If the text doesn't expose a stronger, more interesting version of you, bro, delete it, okay? When you text with purpose, she doesn't just respond, she will begin to invest in the situation. Point 6, the perfect moment to text her again. Timing doesn't matter nearly as much as the emotional state you're in when you text. You could text her tomorrow, you could text her in 3 days, you could text her tonight, and it could still go wrong if you're coming from the wrong place internally. Attraction isn't about the clock. It is the energy behind the message. A woman can feel the difference between a man who texts because he wants to and a man who texts because he needs to. And the moment she detects that you need her response to feel okay, the attraction will start to dip. Women are biologically wired to move away from men who look unstable, even if it's just a little bit, even if the instability is subtle. So here's the rule. Only text when you're emotionally neutral. And by neutral, I mean calm, grounded, you're not expecting anything, you're fully okay with whatever happens next. You're choosing to text, not coping by texting. It's a psychological sweet spot where your message lands with the right energy, the masculine energy that women respond to. Before sending anything, ask yourself, do I feel centered right now, or am I chasing a feeling? If you're chasing, then you're not ready. If you're centered, please proceed. The perfect moment to text her isn't a time on the clock. It's the moment you no longer feel anxious about whether she replies. That's when she feels your presence instead of your pressure. Look, if this video is hitting home, hit that like button. It helps more men find this video. Guys, before you text her again, remember, your messages carry your mindset. Fix your mindset, and the message will fix itself. Now, I need you to watch my video, exactly what to say when she pulls away. It ties directly into everything we talked about in this very video. You'll thank me later. Jessica OS here. Catch you in the next one. Cheers.